Blah blah blah, something about not getting isekai, so watching a bunch of them to immunize myself to the genre while also talking about industry trends, history, and connecting more dots than a conspiracy nut trying to tie together vaccinations, the flat earth, and 9/11 being an inside job into a neat little package. I swear, it has to mean something. But let me put away what I do on the weekends and instead talk about anime. So here we are, getting down and dirty with another popular landmark series that I never hear anyone talk about despite being a commercial success, and apparently one of the better isekai properties out there. To my more astute viewers, I'm sure you know what I'm building towards with these last few entries into this video series, but you'll have to wait a bit longer on that, because today, as I fruitlessly try to build suspense in a medium that allows quick fast forward, a title that already spoiled the subject, and the fact that I'm using footage from the show already, we're looking at Yojo Senki, or the Saga of Tanya the Evil for some ease on my entirely English-speaking audience. I'm sure you know the song and dance by now, so follow along. Starting as a web novel on not Shosetsuka ni Naruto because the author apparently enjoyed the more detailed feedback given over on the much older and probably outdated site Arcadia, the Saga of Tanya the Evil started in 2012. It didn't have much of a run there, finishing in 2013 before being picked up by Enterbrain that same year for the typical light novel makeover. Prettied up through fat trimming, basic editing, and the occasional handy-dandy illustration to help the audience not feel lost. Not that this series puts the light in light novel, with each being packed full of military jargon and history. If you're into that stuff, it's right up your alley. Though the manga and anime adaptations are action-focused, keep the more visually inclined viewers from wandering. But we're not here for that. With the novels and manga adaptations still ongoing, an anime series was produced in 2017 by Nut as the studio's first project. While I normally talk about why this series was picked up and its impact on the genre, I'm sort of at a loss for this one. It's not like it isn't popular, with over 3 million light novels and manga volumes in circulation, and the Blu-ray selling decently well with about 5,500 in the first week on average for its debuts. But while it sold well, there's hardly any information without some heavy digging. But I guess that's why I make the big bucks selling out on YouTube, spending my days browsing sales charts, news articles, and wikis for information on whatever show snagged my attention that week. So, Tanya the Evil. Aside from being a massive missed opportunity for alliteration, no seriously, how do you pass up the tale of Tanya the Terrible, is still an isekai, with all that entails. That means dead dude, a god, reincarnated in another world? Basically what sounds like the most standard trope inclusion from this series. And on its surface, from that basic glance, it would be easy to dismiss this as just another isekai. But that alone doesn't sell books and Blu-rays. So let's break it down further and find out where this series stands out a bit to clue us in on why it was such a commercial success. Setting it out on its own path right away is the fact that the main character is an atheist who refused to believe in the said god who sent him to this new world, pretty much upon meeting him. That angered this all-powerful being, creating a genuine animosity between the displaced and the displacer. To the point the whole plot is sort of based on a bet that this guy won't die of anything but natural causes in this new world, or he'll be sent to actual hell. And while that's the prime motivator, that isn't information the audience is made privy to at the start of the series, lulling viewers into a sense that they're not watching an isekai. What's that? Isekai is a background element to the main story? Sounds like my kind of isekai, where I'm not slapped in the face every few minutes with references and acknowledgement that the protagonist isn't from that world. So with that, we've got our basics down. On to the setting, which is, you guessed it, a medieval level... Oh wait. No, those are definitely guns. And artillery, trench warfare, and military uniforms indicative of World War I, or the Great War as the oldies used to say. After all the isekais I've looked at, it's taken this many, by my count 6 in this series alone, to happen upon one that's set in a time period besides generic fantasy, with the wheel and sword being the most modern conveniences. But not to mince words, it's an alternate reality, close to our own around the 1920s with a slightly belated World War I. I think we finally found a winner on why this one stands out in the market, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Though magic exists in this series, but it functions different from what one would expect. Shields, flight, and magic explosions for sure, but these are all channeled through equipment, using some force the person has within them like a battery. They use their magic to enhance their bullets to blow shit up, pierce, block damage, and fly, which is certainly useful in combat where most people can't use that. And most people being average soldiers, as mages use it pretty damn effectively. The protagonist's main trait is that she has above average abilities, combined with some ruthless efficiency. Certainly a breath of fresh air from the standard hero knowing how to do pretty much everything as soon as they show up in the world they're in. She did have to go through about a year of military training after all. And that's about where the similarities to other isekais end. This character wasn't given the world. In fact, she had just about everything stripped from her to prove a point. No social power, comfort, or friends, and if she dies early, she's looking at being removed from the cycle of reincarnation, which is either non-existence or ending up in hell for all eternity. Who knows, you don't really want to go there. Not building a harem and working her ass off for what she has, all while keeping a disgusting personality focused on the ends and self-survival. That really marks what isekai has become by contrast, as a twisted mirror of what many of these protagonists are. I guess, why does this series stand out? Why am I talking about it? Well, Tanya came out in about the height of isekai's popularity. This was after Overlord, Konosuba, ReZero, and such dominated sales and were already getting season 2s in anime. A flood of shows that were all too similar were hitting the market around the same time. People dying, being reincarnated, and having a fun, easygoing adventure. By this point, isekai was already a genre with that stuff being a central explored component. So when it came time for the anime adaptation of this to hit the scene, there wasn't much of a guarantee for success. While the light novel had sold well and the manga was doing fine, that didn't mean the anime would catch on. But I think this series shows that even if the stereotype of isekai is that it's all the same schlock shoved down the throat of some homogenous, mindless mass of money and hormones, audiences do like something different, which this series strove for. It took a bold step towards being its own thing in a densely populated genre with a realistic approach to war, an unlikable main character, and providing purely selfish ends. Where most were giving people the typical fantasy adventure with little in the protagonist's way, Tanya threw everything in its character's path, setting it in a different time period with more advanced technology, using a historical military focus, and threw in enough fantasy to spice the setting up that, while not too crazy, it's the cherry coke to the average isekai's Coke classic. It's there, but different. A show like this tells me that isekai can be really interesting when it pulls itself out of its own ass for a bit. At least long enough to get a breath of fresh air instead of smelling its own farts indefinitely. Because when it follows its tropes more loosely, varies its setting, and throws the audience a few curveballs for its protagonists, we usually get a story that sticks out a bit more in the bland much like a chunk in some mashed potatoes. If this one has anything going for it, it's that there's a good story here told in a familiar formula that doesn't feel stale. So what this adds to isekai, at least from what I feel, is hope. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and do all the other YouTube things to help the channel grow. You can also join my Discord with a link down in the description. And if you really want to support me, you can head on over to my Patreon, where you can pick up some extra perks like voting on what I do next. Thanks for watching.